Now, I believe that most of you here are pretty awake people and you live very consciously awake. So I'm not going to teach you anything new. And I believe that about every day, I'm sure, but also every 4 or 5 days, at least every 7 days, you come together in circles so that you can get recharged. Humans are electronic and magnetic beings, and we need to, like charging our cell phones, we need to get recharged. And so hopefully coming in circle is a time that you're going to get recharged. So that's what I hope to do with you today. I'm calling this talk Wholehearted Living. What is that? As I did some research, I got that word from the Course of Love. But as I did research on Wholehearted Living, I came across this prolific author, Brene Brown. I'm sure she has a new book out, but maybe 10 years ago, she wrote a book called Gifts of Imperfection, a guide to living a wholehearted life. And so the way she defines wholehearted living is about engaging in our lives from a place of worthiness. It means cultivating the courage, compassion, and connection to wake up in the morning and think, no matter what gets done or what happens to me today and how much is left undone, I am enough. And so that's her thoughts on wholehearted living. She has 10 guideposts, and each guidepost is a letting go and a cultivating something new. And it's very much like your opening prayer, and very much like, I love that you have little notes in the back of the program. It's very much it reminds me of a garden. If any of you had gardens this summer, the letting go is getting the soil ready, pulling weeds. It's keeping the fence and the animals away from eating all your harvest. And the cultivating is about preparing the ground. It's about planting the seeds, watering, nurturing, and then coming forth with a big harvest and being joyful about that. And that's what wholehearted living can be. Now, I would say this is more of a psychological way to get to wholehearted living. So psychologically, we're going to take our thoughts in our mind, we're going to let go, and then we're going to cultivate something new. And there's a whole process she has in these 10 steps. As Suzanne said, I studied and taught and lived the Course in Miracles for about 30 years. And in the Course in Miracles, I call that psycho-spirituality, in that it combined those two flavors of philosophy. And it taught me that to recognize that I can be in my wrong mind. And then the miracle happens when I shift to the right mind. And then from the right mind, I can then surrender to the Holy Spirit or to a higher mind. And that is another whole process that brings the spirituality on top of the psychology way of evolving ourselves. Excuse me. And then I found the Course of Love. It's been around for a long time. I'm going to get a drink of water. It's been around for a while, but I just really shifted gears when I read it. The Course in Love says, this is what it says: all systems have been based upon your desire to understand the world around you. This is what we've been taught, rather than the world within you. If you were to understand the world within, you would not need the systems to understand how to navigate the world without. In the course of love, Jesus says, I was born in human. I was taught the human ways, how to live in my culture. Then I went to the mountaintop. And at the mountaintop, on the mountaintop, I discovered the I am, the Christ within. Now, if that is a trigger for you, just change the word. Is it the soul energy? Is it your higher energy? Is it your spirit guides? Whatever it is, there's a higher purpose, a higher energy of all of us, a higher frequency. And then Jesus said, I had to go back into the human culture and teach what I learned from the I am, from that Christ consciousness. And then we know he was killed for it. So then he had to say, all that I learned and taught was the truth. So I rose from the dead. I came back, and to those who were my students and new people, I showed them the light of me and the living on forever. And so the great I am is infinite. And so that's what I got from the course, is that we have learned, each one of us has learned how to navigate the world. And we've learned to live in our head, because part of navigating the world is analyze things, learn things, study, think about it, be clear. And so I'm going to show an example here. So from our head, and then as we matured, we learned to open up our heart. And so we went counterclockwise from our head to our heart. Oh, be kind, learn compassion, learn empathy, and then share that out into the world. To me, the Course in Love went the exact opposite. The Christ within is in our heart, the energy of our heart chakra. We've all, even today, been reminded, put your hands on your heart. There's where you are. And so the Christ within is in my heart energy. And the Course of Love has said, so touch your heart, open your heart. In the chapter 20 in the Course of Love says, it's called Wholeheartedness, the Embrace. The way you embrace that Christ consciousness is your heart. And then your heart will use the art of thinking. That's what it terms. The art of thinking. So it's going to use our thoughts that are able to put words, dimension, behavior. And so we go counterclockwise from our heart, and then that uses our art of thinking, and then we extend that into the world. So it has introduced to me a new way of living in the world from the heart first. One of the things that brought up in my mind today, as I listened to you read the opening prayer, one of the most beautiful words that I learned that helped me in the Course of Love was the word acceptance. So that if I'm angry about something, it says, just accept. In this moment, I am really angry about this. And be with that acceptance. And then I heard someplace it takes about 90 seconds for any energy to flow through you. Joy and happy feelings are integrated, but those that are anger or frustration, anxiety, anything to do with fear will run its course and dissipate in about 90 seconds. So that word acceptance has been very, very helpful for me to accept. This is a human quality. This is what I learned. And so when I accept, I can be in the present moment. So A Course of Love reminds me, as the Course in Miracles did, I've never left the garden. And what does that mean? The story, the metaphor of in Genesis in the Bible about living in the Garden of Eden, where everything was there for me. I didn't have to give a thought about it. I knew I was cared for and taken care of. And so when I remember that, I don't have to get so frustrated about the way I learned. Now, I want to say that I'm sure that many of us can use this word oneness and say, I believe in oneness. We're all one. We're all the same. And what I like about the Course in Love, this is a beautiful way that they described oneness. And I'm just going to read what it says. We exist in the embrace of love like layers of light that form a rainbow. So think of that. Indivisible and curved into one another. Love grows from within a child, as a child grows in its mother's womb. Inward into the embrace, the source of all beginning, the kernel of wholeness that exists. The time of parables has ended. Now, when I think about a rainbow, think of this. Each one of us here on the screen is a color. We're a color in the rainbow. And together we curve against one another. And we form the oneness of a beautiful rainbow. How many of you, when you see a rainbow, you almost stop? Do you get out your camera? Do you stop the car? Do you pull over the side of the road? Oh, rainbow. And if somebody's with us, look, a rainbow. That's something that we want to share with everyone. This summer, when I was in the pool, I looked up at the sun and we had these puffy clouds going on like cotton candy. And they were pink and green and blue. And I was like, wow. I said to the person in the pool beside me, look up, do you see colors or am I checking out here? Because it was just a beautiful thing. But think of that as oneness. That's a great example that helped me see the oneness of all of us. We are each a color of that rainbow, and we are connected together. You can't really divide us. Does anybody know, I heard this on the news, that when Queen Elizabeth died, there was a rainbow in the sky? And then while she was in the castle and they were looking, people were observing her, I forget the word for that, but there was a double rainbow above her house in Scotland. And so that was just a beautiful thing for me now that I see a rainbow means oneness. And so having that oneness, that's what living wholeheartedly is about. And the thing about oneness that we have to remember is that even if I don't know you, you are also a rainbow of oneness. So I interact differently. Now you may say, how will that look? Well, here's the key. I can't answer that question because it's going to be for your heart and your art of thinking, your wisdom to come through you and express through you. That is the thing that we learned to be so different. That's why we went counterclockwise. How many of you are aware of all the endless conversations you have in your head? You know, if you have a challenge, you're working it out. If you have a fear, you're thinking about this and what they're going to say, and I'm going to say this. And all of our learned thinking conversations are really about what? I want to be sure that I'm going to be right and I'm going to feel like a winner when the situation ends. And if we go from the heart and get into the heart first and see that oneness, I have no clue what's going to happen because my heart is going to connect with their heart in the idea of oneness. There are a couple steps. One is silent the mind. So we have to stop thinking. One of the things I do when I teach my course and we end, I say, remember, catch yourself thinking this week. So catch yourself thinking. Now, we can't stop ourselves from thinking. That's just part of our human form, is to think. But we can feed our thoughts with the whole heart, with the oneness of our heart. And so catch yourself thinking, silent your mind. And that means also get present in the moment. One of the greatest exercises I love to do several times a day is to sit, focus on the energy of my heart, and know that in this moment, and this can happen for all of us right now, in this moment, there's nothing I can do to be loved more. There's nothing I can do to have love taken away from me. I am loved fully in every moment. And it takes time for us to stop thinking and to get into the center of our heart to know that. So living in the present moment and trying to really focus within more consistently than maybe we have in the past. The second step that we can use is to listen. So ask your heart, what is it that you would want me to know today? What is it that I would like to know about this situation? What can I know about the heart of the other person? Because it is when we get person to person, that's the union that happens in the Christ energy, we come together, even if that person is not very awake. There is a part of them that we're tapping into. And we can share our energy with their energy and come together. And then to join in unity. So allow the heart and mind to come together in a different way, a heart and mind, not mind and heart. There's a difference in that. Trust your heart is perfectly capable of speaking to you in the language that you understand, of giving you direction, of giving you the information that you need in just that moment. When we learn the wisdom of our heart, it's using our mind in a very different way. I don't have to think about it. As I read earlier from the course, it's not about using my mind to figure out how to get around in the world. It's coming from a place of the wholeness of our heart. And so that is the one thing that we can realize. The Course in Love taught me the time of learning has come to an end. The time of parallel has come to an end. When we embrace that nature of ourself, our true self with a capital S, and follow the truth with a capital T, when we come from truth of ourself, when we get to know that self, and we are able to open up to that self, we don't have to think, we don't have to plan, we don't have to process. When an energy comes up that feels like it's some of fear of learned behavior, accept it. Just accept. This is what I'm feeling right now. This is what I'm thinking right now. I can accept that I'm in judgment of this and just be with it. And when we take that energy of being into our heart, it dissipates quickly. And we will find out that the relationship that we have with our heart will just be so beautiful. So I invite you to think of wholehearted living. Think of how you can see yourself as that rainbow color, your unique self. And we're all curved together in that idea of oneness. And the time has come to change the world. We know the world is changing. And the shift is happening, however you want to define that shift. And the way we can each play our role in that is when we come to our heart, we will be united in that Christ energy, that holy energy, that higher energy. And it is in that higher energy that I will connect heart to heart. That's what the word namaste means. So live the namaste. In the Sikh tradition, it's Satnam, and Satnam is the same as namaste. And you may have your own word that comes to you that you can use. How can you live namaste? How can you live wholehearted? And so I hope that our time together has recharged you in some way, has allowed you to feel more ignited, more ready to go about your daily life and engage with your own heart in different ways, and engage with the heart of oneness as we connect and unite in oneness, because it is in oneness when we see the oneness in ourselves and we see oneness in others, the union of the Christ consciousness happens, and we together, all of us, raise the energy of the earth into oneness. And so it is.